good afternoon or good evening. Welcome to this afternoon presentation about French immersion. Before I start, if you want to have a drink, orange juice, tea, coffee, some cheese or Vicky, feel free to help yourself. I didn't come by myself. I've got 4 special guests. A student in year 8, Bella. She has a sister who did French immersion in year 12. She's in year 12. We have Tori in year 9. Josephine in year 11, so she has finished French immersion. And Victoria, not Veronica, Victoria in year 12. So 2 current French immersion students and 2 former students. You can also find lots of information on the website. It's now visible, so if you go here, be immersed, you can click and you'll find a video that I'm not going to play, but feel free to have a look at home. The video has been made with Josephine and Ellie de Jong, the school captain in French immersion. So yes, we are going to talk about all of this tonight. We are going to use the girls because they are very good to sell the program, and they will answer your questions at the end. Girls, if you can come here, please. We are going to answer 1 or 2 questions, and Mrs. Cohen will be a bit late, but she'll come after. Girls, can you please tell why you choose French immersion?
I had French immersion because I really wanted to be fluent in another language, and I heard language is really good for like remembering and like lots of other skills. And also my older sister said it was really fun and really enjoyed doing it.
We have many girls who do it because their sister did it. It's the same for Victoria. Tori, you don't have a sister who did French immersion, but
I did French immersion because I thought it would be like a really good challenge and it'd be a really good way to get to know a group of girls that I wouldn't necessarily hang out with. It's a good way to like meet new people and understand the way that other cultures work as well.
And you talk about the group of French immersion girls. They spend most of their time over 3 years together, so they are quite good together. When they go to France for the trip, usually we don't have much issues between the girls. Josephine?
I chose the program because I thought it would be a good way to immerse myself in the language, to completely, it's a good way to learn it, and for a challenge to completely learn the language.
And Josephine, you lived 1 year in France when you were 7. So she has this advantage, and this she can already speak French. You don't need to speak French when you start, but yes, the first lesson she had in year 8, I was very surprised. I thought she was French because she has no accent. Victoria?
I chose French immersion because all throughout junior school I really enjoyed the French there, and well, also because I speak Spanish at home, and I thought, why not? Let's add another language to it. And yeah, and I came over for the introduction day over here, and I had a look at the French immersion program, and it's something that really sparked my interest. So, yeah.
So I've asked Victoria to come tonight because I know some of you speak another language at home and might be a bit concerned. Oh, will I lose my language? Will I lose my English? Will it be more difficult? French and Spanish are quite similar, but you can have, we have in year 11 and year 10 girls who speak Dutch at home. So they are Dutch speaker, English speaker, and they do very well as well in French. I would say when you already speak another language, it's almost an advantage. Your brain is already ready. Second question, what do you think you'll get out of French immersion when you'll have finished or when you leave school? Will you use your French skills in your professional life?
Well, maybe, if like, because it does kind of increase like job opportunities if you want to live in France or in any French-speaking country. Yeah.
Doreen?
Always wanted to like study abroad, so that's an option. Or in the army, having another language behind you does help with roles and getting deployed. So that's always been a good thing for me.
I think that it opens up job opportunities as well. At the start of the year, I had a job as a translator for a group of French people, beef people who came over for a tour.
Yeah, farmers who came from France to New Caledonia to Queensland, and yes, you, of course, French farmers don't speak English, and English farmers, I don't know if they speak French, Aussie farmer, but Josephine, yes, was a very good translator. Victoria?
I think learning another language does open a lot more doors, especially if you're thinking of going, business and economics and, international relations and all that. But also, it's even if you're not interested in that, it helps you make connections around the world, which is good for any career. So, yeah.
And I will tell you later, but for me, the French immersion program, the most important is not French, it's the word immersion. We don't have many girls using French later at uni or in their life, but the skills they have developed during the 3 years are very important. And we'll talk about maybe the result in your 11 or 12 later. Okay, girls, if you want to sit, we are going to start the presentation, and we'll ask you some more questions later. So, immersion is also called CLIL, which means Content and Language Integrated Learning. In Australia, approximately 30 schools have this program, only 11 in Queensland. You've got Chinese, Spanish, German, Italian in Stanthorpe, I think. And 3 schools do French, Benawa on the Gold Coast and Mansfield in Brisbane. But Glennie is the only independent school. All the other schools are state schools. And next year we'll celebrate the 20th anniversary. Yeah, it's still alive. So I've got a very quick video. So immersion is more focused on the language, and it's very popular in Canada, for example, where they can speak French and English. CLIL is more focused on the content, on the subject. Here at Glennie, it's a mix of the two names, but CLIL is not very easy to understand. So immersion is better. We are doing French immersion from year 8 to year 10. But from next year, we are going to start from year 7 to year 9. So we are going to have 3 years of transition. The girls next year, starting in year 8, will still do it for 3 years. But at the same time, the girls starting in year 7 will be new as well. So we'll have 2 new cohorts next year in year 7 and year 8. Which subject do we teach? So from next year, we'll have math in year 7 and year 8. Any volunteer to solve the equation, to read the question? Bella, you're 8. Can you read the question?
Résulte les équations suivantes.
2x plus 1 égale 3, x égale 1. X égale 1. 3a moins 6 égale 18. A égale... Somebody has the answer? 8. Produit 24, 26, 18. Très bien. If you are able to do this in English, you are able to do it in French. Such a question, it's quite easy. You don't have to think in French, as long as you understand the question, and here it's quite basic. After, it's not a problem. If you cannot solve problems in math in English, you won't be able to do it in French. It's important. We do science, currently 8 to 10. It will be year 7 to 10. The girls are working on microscope, but I'm not going to ask Bella to do it again. Social sciences, so geography and history, year 7 to 9. And geography in year 10. We used to have as well modern history, but we don't do it anymore. We used to do PE as well, but during those 3 years of transition, we won't be able to do PE. PE was good for the theory, when the girls had to do some assignments on anatomy or coaching or nutrition. But when we play sport, we don't speak much French, especially synchronized swimming. Do we teach the same content? Yes, that's very important. We follow the curriculum. The exams and assignments are the same. Usually slightly adapted or modified. When we start in year 8, for example, the first term, we can't do it fully in French. So we write some questions in English or we modify some questions. But the year 10 science exam last term for the year exactly the same exam fully in French. The questions are in French and the answers are in French. So we learn the same content. You are not going to be behind the non-immersion student. Why would my daughter choose French immersion program? That's a very good question. I would say 40 years ago, 50 years ago, to learn a second language was not a good idea. We used to say that if you start learning a second language, you are going to lose your first language. But since studies have proved the opposite. I'll let you read this. Provided, of course, that people who made the wheels knew what they were doing. It's very important. Some studies in Europe, in the UK, English speaker country, bilingual people are much better than non-bilingual people in 15 out of 18 tests. So the results show that people who learn 2 languages, their brain develops more. So you don't lose your native language, and in addition, you develop your brain. You get many benefits: planning, memory, concentration, many skills that you can reuse later. So it's not just about the language. The language, as I said before, is not the most important point. You can do French immersion for the French, but most of the girls won't use French in their life. A challenge? Girls, challenge? Est-ce que c'est difficile? Is it difficult? They can't say it's easy. Of course not. It's not easy. From lesson 1, your lesson is in French. So yes, you have new words, it's difficult. You can understand, but after you need to talk as well, and it's more difficult. So yes, it's a challenge. In Brisbane, in Kenmore State, they have a German immersion program. They call it GIEP, Excellence Program. So that's why I wrote this. It's not about the language, it's about academic excellence. The girls who do French immersion have very good results, not only in immersion, but later. During semester 1, in year 11, 5 girls in year 11 got full colors. And those 5 girls did French immersion. The question is, what would have been their result without French immersion? And we don't have anything to measure this. I can't tell you they would have been better, the same, or not as good. But I've been here for 11 years, and usually the girls, when they finish French immersion, when they choose their specific subject for year 11 and 12, most of them, if they were B or B+, not struggling, but not getting A in French immersion, going back to English in year 11, usually their marks just right. Josephine, I don't know, Victoria, which kind of mark did you get in your 11 or 12? Have you dropped? Have you maintained? Have you improved?
I've improved personally.
Well, mine's kind of the same since French immersion.
Veronica didn't lose grade when she did French immersion. So she's over at the top. But yes, some girls don't drop grade. Tori, you're in year 9. Have you dropped grade? Not really. And the girls, if they drop a grade, usually when they are in year 11, they get it back very easily and even better. This is what we can measure at the end of year 10. We can measure their French level. Their listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This is the only thing that we can measure at the end of the program. What we can't measure, that's all the other part of the iceberg, all the skills they have developed. And we don't have tools to measure this. But it's for me the most important part of the program. So French immersion, it's a combination of the language. French is important. You need to like the languages to do French immersion. If you don't like languages, don't do it. You learn a lot about culture, history, habits in France. The girls spent 4 weeks during the trip, and they visit so many castles and museums and stuff like this. They know a lot about French culture. And the method, the way we work, the way they work, especially. So which student can do French immersion? A student, yes, but not necessarily. We recommend at least a B standard in general. But the most important is to have some committed and organized student. A for effort for student. You will have to work more than a normal student. So you have to be motivated. It's very important. Question. Girls, you will have to answer those questions. So come back here, please. The first question, why have Glennie embraced it? Because Mr. Berthold created this program on the Gold Coast, and he loved French. He went to France for studies in the 90s and sold the program to Glennie 20 years ago. And since it has always worked quite well. Will this help my daughter later on life? Probably. As I said before, we don't have a tool to measure this, but yes, she is going to develop many skills. The French, maybe not, but other skills, yes. Will my daughter drop grades? So we talked about this already. Will it affect your 11 and 12 outcomes? No. The girls in your 11 and 12 obtain very good OP results. You won't get OP because it's going to change, but especially this year, the year 12, we should get very high OPE results. No pressure. Will my daughter get enough support if she is struggling? I'll let you answer.
Well,
Are you struggling?
no.
No. But if you struggle, do you get support?
Yeah, we have our tutor teachers. Well, we have Miss Khan as a tutor teacher, and she's really good for support and helping us. And Mr. PV does tutoring. And so yeah.
We have Miss Jepson, a tutor teacher, and if like we come back from a class and we all don't know what we've just learnt, she will take the time to explain in like a deeper sense so that we do understand.
So Mrs. Jepson just arrived. She's at the back. But yes, we provide some tutoring. I do, for example, with your 8, yes, math, and we often get 6, 7, 8 girls, so almost a big group. But quite often it's not tutoring. It's becoming a challenging time. The girls want more, so we go over the curriculum. Josephine, Victoria, about support?
Well, there's like 3 French immersion teachers that can help you, so one of them's going to have the time. And also there's heaps of girls that do French immersion or have done French immersion, and they'll all be happy to help you as well. So
This is important for boarders. The boarders, the girls in year 11, 12, Josephine in 11, they can help the girls starting in year 8 or 9. So if they have problem with their assignments or homework, they can get support from year 11 or 12. Is there extra tuition available or outside tutors to help with speaking? Personally, the girls already have basically 10 lessons per week. So that's a lot of French. So if they work well, if they work enough during the lesson, they don't need more tutoring outside of the school. But if really they want tutors, yes, we have few people available in town. Can my daughter still play sport and music, choirs, etc.? What do you do, Bella?
I do a lot. I do axiom, concert band, big band, water polo, soccer, choir.
Okay, stop. Tori,
I do CrossFit competitively, so that's like 11 to 12 times a week I'll be training. So that's a lot of my time.
Josephine,
I play futsal, volleyball and netball, and I do speech and drama. And I used to, when I did French immersion, I did piano myself.
and Victoria.
I only did swimming and piano, but I have heaps of other friends that did, all the sports or all the music programs and all the bands, and they did just fine as well.
So yeah, the key word is to be organized. If you miss a lesson due to a competition, if you miss a lesson, some girls go to a music lesson during the math lesson. If you miss a lesson, you need to catch up. If you, for example, today in science in year 8, we learned 3 important words. That means 3 definitions. If you miss the lesson, you need to ask a girl, or you can find the information on the website, on Secta, and you need to do extra work after at school, at home, sorry. If you miss lesson, when you come back, you don't know the vocabulary. So it's very important to catch up. Do the girls need to study French before entering French immersion? Have you all done French before?
I did it in
In year 7? But in year 7, it's basically, it was, yeah. When you finish year 7 or year 6, you can't talk. You know few numbers, colors, a bit more than this, of course, but it's not compulsory. You can start French immersion without doing any French before. Do all students go on the trip? Tori?
I'm not going on the trip next year. I've decided to go to America instead. but it's like not a necessary part. Like that's an added bonus towards the end, but you shouldn't be doing French immersion just for the trip. Like that's a lot of time and a lot of hard work. 3 years of your life just for one trip.
I don't have to add anything to this. If you join the French immersion program for the trip, not a good idea. For next year, we have the year 9 and year 10 will go to France. We've got 14 year 8 and 14 year 9 students, so 4 girls are not going to France next year. This year we had just everybody in year 10 went to France. How much does a trip to France cost? It depends, but basically we try, good evening, we try to keep it below $5,000. And there is no extra cost to do French immersion.
I'm just going to sit here.
Okay. Mrs. Cohen and
Hello.
Mrs. Matterson.
Hello, everyone.
We have almost finished. Will my daughter have textbooks in French or English?
French. In science we have like 2 or 3 with like a lot of the basic information, and the French isn't too hard to understand, so it's like a bit more simplified than the English version.
But do you get the English textbook?
We can. It's an option, but we don't need to.
We don't have in maths, for example, in year 8, you don't have the maths textbook. So we have resources. We create resources, usually from French textbook or not, and everything is on the portal. We have virtual classroom, and the girls can have access to all information. Does she have to do exam in French too? Yes. So the lesson is in French. The questions are usually in French, sometimes in English. For example, in mathematics, the knowledge question is in French. The problem solving, because I don't want them to fail the question because of the language, I can add an image for them to understand, or just a word in bracket, or just in English. But we try to keep the English as minimal as possible. Do you have any questions for the girls? I'm sure you have many questions.
Don't we do enough math already?
So, I'm going to answer this question. You don't have any lesson in English. So you will have, currently it's 6 math lessons per fortnight. So 6 math lessons in French. You don't have any lesson in English.
Okay.
So it's not in addition.
Okay.
All the lessons in science are in French. All the lessons in social science are in French.
For the girls that have finished, if you had your time again, and would you make the same choice? Would you do this again, or would you have thought, oh, I could have gone down an easier path?
I'd definitely do it again. I don't regret it at all. And I was kind of sad when it finished and grade 11 was back to English, but I definitely don't regret it.
Yeah, no, it was good. Especially like the challenge and all the work you had to put into it. I thought it was good for myself personally.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't have this question often, but
With the French exams, do we have to write with any French?
yes. And you don't have dictionary. Because the vocabulary that you are supposed to use, you learn it during the lesson. So that's why you need to learn your vocab regularly. So if I ask Bella explain what photosynthesis is, she should be able to tell me the full definition in French. I won't ask you. Yes. So she didn't have time to learn.
I just wanted to ask, are the teachers, maths and science teachers that speak French, or are they French teachers that teach maths?
Another good question. At the moment we have some new staff.
Everybody's qualified to teach what they teach.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm just talking over. So, they are French, as you can hear.
Yeah.
French people who have studied in France and have degrees in the subjects they teach.
maths and science teachers like Dad was qualified to teach those subjects, and so on. So it's not, I understand your concern. Thank you.
But yeah, it's a common question. Which kind of teacher do we need in an immersion program? Do we need a native speaker who is not a specialist of the subject, or a specialist who doesn't speak the language well? So it's better if you have a native who is specialist.
Yeah.
Do you have to start in year 7?
So from next year, we'll start in year 7, yes. We have, in the past, we had some girls who arrived, so we start in year 8 currently. Some girls started in year 9. So imagine you start 1 year behind. 1 year behind means basically 500 hours behind. So it's a big, big effort. There is a girl in year 12 who did it, Eve, and she did it very well. It was difficult for the first, I would say, semester or first year, but she finished very well. We had Jasmine, Miller's sister. We've got Yinte in year 11. So Yinte speaks Dutch at home, English, and she came 1 year later, but she did well as well. So it's possible, but it's very difficult.
My question is to the girls, how many of you four have a second language in your home, like your parents? Just one? Yeah. And the other question was, are you a boarders or are you home?
No.
You just one boarder? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
We have currently 3 brothers in year 8, I think. 4 in year 9, 2 in year 10. A few years ago, we had a gappy, a French gappy. So she was working in the boarding house. It was very good for the girl. I just come back from France, and a parent told me I will send you my daughter very soon to spend 6 months in France, in Australia, in the boarding school. So if we can get, we don't have this gap year in France, but we try to get students to come.
I have found in the past that sometimes the extra tuition that's available to the girls is more available if you're a boarder than it is for a day student, just by logistics. But yeah, that's something.
Yeah, if you get extra tuition, it's more to help the girl do homework. It's not to get more lesson.
Yes. Yeah.
At the end of the French immersion program, are they considered fluent in French?
Something important, currently the girl in year 10, they study year 11 French. And when they are in year 11, they do year 12 French. So it's already a good level. And when they are in year 12, they do French extension. Do you do French extension? You started?
I started.
So if you do French extension, it is the first year of French at university. So fluent, I would say yes. When you finish your time, you are not fluent, but you can go to France, live in a French family, and you can understand people, you can be understood, and you can join, you can participate, you can talk with people. A non-fluent person would listen and couldn't speak. And the girls usually are able, when they go to school, they are able to follow the lessons, to do the test, because lots of tests in France, and to get good marks. But yes, some girls obtain very good results, are fluent, some not as good, but
Can I just ask, how many subjects do the girls do, not just in French, but in total in year 7? How many approximately is it that they do?
How many do they do? How many girls, how many did you do last year, Bella?
Music, drama, dance, math, science, English, history.
Science.
Yeah, and RA. It's like 10.
10.
Okay, so 4 of them are in French.
that 5 with PE.
Oh,
So basically it was 50% of their weekly load. Yeah. In year 8, and we didn't do math in year 9, so in year 8 more lesson, year 9 less, and year 10 less. There is no PE. PE is an elective in year 10.
one lesson a week, so there are a number of lessons a week.
So yeah, that's a lot of French.
Yes.
It's between around 1,200 hours in 3 years. That's a lot.
Are you merging the 7 and 8? Are they going to be like composite or will they be two separate classes?
2 separate classes.
And is there a reason why you brought it in grade 7 there?
Or 2 reasons. It's easier to make the program a middle school program, and the main reason is due to the new senior syllabus. It's easier to move everything down to middle school. And I think as well that it's easier to learn a language when you are younger.
Also, it was in year 8 initially because that was the first year of high school. And then when the first year of high school became year 7, we didn't really change it in line with that. But with the new senior syllabus happening, so you know, in 2020 there's no longer going to be an OP, but we'll be doing an ATAR. It does affect what we do in years 11 and 12, and we might be shifting that slightly earlier into the last term of year 10, which would then affect the French immersion program.
And are you concerned about taking the girls overseas any younger then?
In the past, so 10 years ago, the girls used to go there in year 9 and 10, and there was no problem. Next year we go with year 9 and 10, and the girls are now 1 year older. So there is no, and in every class you've got different ages, but no, there is no problem with this.
So the girls in year 9 are older now than they were, remember with that change, so it's the same age really, the same age spread, if you like.
And the other schools in Queensland, to come back to your first question, a few years ago when year 7 became the first year, that was a big question, what do we do? And some schools decided to make this program a 4-year program, year 7 to 10, and some girls struggle to finish the program. And some schools it's 7 to 9. So we did French a pre-immersion program in year 7. We started 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and now we're going to start the program in year 7.
I'm just wondering, do most of the girls, once they finish the French immersion, keep French as a subject for 11 and 12?
Usually the girls finish, they tick the box year 12 French in year 11. Not many drop the subject because you can add 1 subject to your year 12, but how many do French extension? Not many.
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Why? Because they are talented in physics, chemistry, music extension. So they choose other subjects. Only the one who really likes the language keep French extension. And if you look at Japanese or French for normal student, non-immersion student, not many either choose languages in year 11 or 12.
How many girls are usually in, like out of 1 grade usually do it?
So we try to have the same number of students, 20 to 25. I have to say that the last 2 or 3 years we had some low numbers, but Victoria, Victoria, when you were in year 8, we had 27 girls. So more girls in the classroom to study in the same amount of time in a foreign language, the same subject. But when you have 27 very good students, it's not a problem.
Which means it's about a quarter of the year.
Yeah.
We had 8 years ago 41 girls. We had 2 classes out of 5. Yeah.
And do they return to, for their English-speaking subjects, do they return to the general cohort or do they do them in their French immersion group?
In your,
Standard one class for every subject?
it depends if it's an elective or a course subject. In middle school, I would say they stay together for English, for
That might change.
it might change, but for example, in year 10, the girls who do I don't know, PE or physical education or music, they are mixed with other students. But in years 8 or 9, they spend most of their time together.
To go off my question a couple of questions ago, do girls who start French immersion finish French immersion?
I would say 80 to 90% of them, yes. Some drop. We had in the past some very bright girls who stopped after a semester because they didn't like it. It happens, it's very rare. Veronica, in your cohort, how many girls stopped? Victoria? Veronica is in your mind. Vanessa?
I think 3 maybe, but one had to move away and then the other one had to change school. And then
Yeah, you always have girls who change school or life. Some girls stop immersion, but not many. It depends. We start with, except for the last 2 or 3 years, we started with 25 girls and we finished always with more than 20. And Veronica, Victoria, there were 27 to start, and we went to France, I think, with 24, 25, yes. So, Josephine, as well, in your group, we didn't have many girls dropping. And
Did they drop and stay at the school, or have some of them left?
Some of them left, but some stayed.
And Bella, in your class so far, in your A?
Only one's left Glennie.
Yeah, so
And we've got one who someone's joined.
lost one, gained one.
I think this is correct, but I know in semester 2 of grade 6, the girls go to try out Japanese. So if you do Japanese in grade 7, then you can still do French immersion in grade 8, right?
No. So you are in year 6 now?
To year 5.
In year 5. So in year 6, you will have 1 semester of
Yeah.
French, 1 semester of Japanese.
Yeah.
In year 7, you will have to choose between Japanese, French, or French immersion.
Oh.
You can't do French immersion and Japanese. In France, the school where we just spent 2 weeks, in year 6, they do French, English, German or Spanish.
Latin as well?
And Latin or Greek. No, Latin and Greek. They do the 2 subjects in one. Yeah. Right. Yes, Mrs. Cohen. Any more questions?
Do you want to sit down, Bill? Thank you. I'll just stand here and talk. I think my voice is loud enough. Sorry I was late. We were just in a meeting. But I was actually talking very recently to a lady who's applying to come and work at the school, actually. And one of the questions we always ask is, what is it about Glennie that makes you want to come and work here, given that she lives on the coast? And she said, to be honest, it's because you offer French immersion. And it wasn't for a French position at all. And she said studying French at school absolutely changed her life. She's taught in Canada, she's worked in France, it's been a huge thing. And I said, I'm actually going to share that story tonight, because often people say, well, French, we're never going to use it. And she just said her life, you know, you never know what you're going to use in life. I thought 20 years ago I'd be standing in a school in a place called Toowoomba that I'd never heard of, talking to people about French immersion that I'd never heard of. I would have thought that's not going to happen. So you take every opportunity that comes your way, I always say. But one of the things that does certainly come out, and David may have spoken about this since I wasn't here, but that's the development of the brain and how really it helps the girls in achieving in other subjects. And certainly, possibly in year 7 or 8, maybe your marks will not be as you wish them to be. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because education is not all about results. Education is about learning and getting to know stuff and acquiring skills and developing your brain. And the girls that finish French immersion and go in year 11 are generally those girls you see walking across the stage in year 11 and 12 getting awards in numerous subjects, because they have developed those problem-solving skills, they've developed critical thinking skills, deep learning skills and deep thinking skills as well. So there's so much more to it than just the language, and that's why I'm really quite passionate about it, and you know, wanted David to actually do information evenings so people can hear about that and the benefits of it. And I speak to the girls a lot about having a growth mindset and really facing challenges. Don't always go the easy route. Absolutely, it'll be easier not to do French immersion. But it's facing up to those challenges and developing yourself as a person and developing your brain that is really so important within a school. And yeah, it'll be hard. But it was hard, wasn't it, initially? I would think. Oh, you didn't, yeah, it was a challenge, but it's something totally different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I still have no idea how it can possibly work, that you can walk into a classroom and learn something in French when you don't have the language, but it does, because we've got fabulous teachers and the girls can attest to that. And just to put your minds at ease again about the teachers, our teachers are either French speaking, who have studied the subjects that they are teaching, and they're studying French, or they are absolutely fluent in French. But I think next year all our teachers are going to be French first language teachers. Yes. So it's great walking around in the staff room just hearing these beautiful French accents. It's a lovely place to come to work. But girls, I really encourage you to take up that challenge, to grab the opportunity, and to encourage your friends to do the same. And maybe I shouldn't encourage too much because we might get classes that are too big.
I'd just like to add something. You talk about the grades, and we have as well many girls in year 12 who got captain of a committee. So it develops your brain, yes, but also you as a person. Girls are confident, are more mature, I think, when they spend some time in France, in a French family. I've got many parents who tell me after, oh, I gave you my little girl and she came back as a young woman. It makes a big difference when you live in a foreign country. It's not long, it's 2 weeks. The girls come back different. I've seen some girls in your time, they don't talk much sometimes in science with me, but they were fantastic during the trip, and they were superstars in the French school, and they come back completely changed. We had a girl 2 years ago. She speaks Italian at home, plus English and French immersion. She went into a year 11 class in French, an Italian lesson, and she was a superstar because she was able to speak 3 languages quite fluently. And she was not a standard student, but she came back completely transformed. And for the self-esteem, it's very important for the girls to. It's a good transformation.
I think going in it's more about the attitude, isn't it? Than the results. Not that you've spoken about that already.
Is there a reciprocal arrangement where students come from France to live with the girls that have been over there?
Yes, we have 2 sister schools. One in Paris, a new one. We have just started a new story, and one in Orléans. Orléans is 1 hour south of Paris. Orléans only came once, 2 years ago. I hope that the new school will come. The ex-school we had before, they came here since 2002. So we had 16 years of exchange, 1 year there, 1 year here. That's why I was in the other team, and I've just changed team.
So part of the commitment is if your daughter goes over in year 9 or 10, then you would host a French student the following year in 2 weeks. So just to explain, starting in year 8 is only for students who are currently in year 7, because this is the year that will change in the starting date. So after this year, all students coming in will start in the year 7 year. So do you understand that? Okay. So for everybody it'll be a 3-year course, and it definitely won't be a composite class. There'll be a year 7 and a year 8 class next time.
It's going to be very interesting to see how the 2 levels will evolve, and we'll have to raise the level of year 8 in 2 years' time, because so far when we start French immersion in year 8, we have to adapt at least for the first term. We spend the first 2 weeks in math or science learning the vocab, and so we are a bit behind the other classes. But next year, or in 2 years' time, in year 8, we'll be at the same level, so it will be very interesting.
Is it like, I know some of the girls who are in primary have done French, and then the girls who might have come in won't have. Will there be, is there anything when
as I said before, Mrs. Mills does a very good job there, but once again, when you finish your 6 or you can't do much in French. So yes, you know some vocab, which is good, but you don't need this to start French immersion. We spent 2 or 3 weeks at the start to learn the vocab. When you learn French, you don't learn the vocab for science or geography or math. And sometimes the girls told me this in the past at school. In France, they told me, yes, we are good to speak about photosynthesis, but we can't talk with the boys in the schoolyard.
We don't want them speaking to the French boys.
So no, you don't need to have any French when you start. If there is no more question, I'd like to thank you girls for coming tonight and invite you to have a drink and some food over there and keep chatting together. Thank you.